Joining us now is Hung Cao, who is running for the U.S. Senate in Virginia and is within the margin of error against Tim Kaine. Hung, welcome to the program.
Charlie, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on your show.
Tell us about your story. Your speech at the RNC was captivating. Your debate against Tim Kaine was wonderful. Introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, in 1975, when Saigon was falling to the communists, my mom was sewing notes into our clothes saying, "This is my son, please take care of him," because there was a reality where they'd have to throw us into a helicopter and, just to save our lives. Because my father was a high-ranking South Vietnamese government official, so he was marked for death or going to be sent to a re-education camp. And then, so the next morning we got to the airport, and my mom was like, "Oh my gosh, what if the Americans only took 2 of our 5 kids? Or 3 of our 5 kids? Who do we leave behind? Who can take care of themselves? And how do we even come back to get them one day?" But by the miracle of God, we all made it to the United States. I went to a refugee camp in Guam and then another refugee camp in Camp Pendleton, California. Then we settled in Northern Virginia. And my dad, again, being in agriculture, could not find any work over here. So they said, "Why don't you guys move to Africa and help develop Africa under USAID?" So we picked up after 6 months and moved to sub-Saharan West Africa, which is Niger. And we spent 7 years over there. That's where I learned meritocracy, by the way, because in French schools, what they do is they hand you your report cards in, by order of merit. So the top kid gets it, and they sit at the front end of your seats, front right, and then all the way down. So I noticed early on that the pretty French girls were at the front, and the smelly French boys were in the back, and so I studied really hard to get to the front. But then at the age of 12, my parents realized that this kid doesn't speak any English, so my mom had to bring us all back here. My dad stayed in harsh countries like Chad, Guinea, Cameroon, Zaire, just to make a living, and we would see him every 4 to 6 months. But they want us to have the American dream. So I went to the top schools in the country, including the United States Naval Academy, and I have master's in physics and for postgraduate school, and then fellowships at Harvard and MIT. But I paid back every dime of that American dream with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations. I was a Navy deep sea diver that recovered John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane. I was a EOD technician that defused bombs for our SEAL teams and Special Forces teams in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. And so that's me in a nutshell.
That's amazing. And you're running a wonderful race here. I want to introduce the audience through just some of the pieces of tape here from your debate with Tim Kaine. Let's go to cut 219. And we need more candidates like you. You've lived the American dream. You've served the country admirably, and you understand communism because your family lived it. Play cut 219.
Mr. Cao, you've supported removing undocumented immigrants who have committed violent crime. Do you support mass deportation of all undocumented immigrants? You have 60 seconds.
Immigration is very near and dear to my heart. When Vietnam fell, we had nowhere to go, and America had brought us in. And my parents waited in line for 7 years. We all did, for 7 years to get our citizenship. The last thing that my dad had hang over his bed when he passed away 2 years ago was his naturalization certificate. I love this country so much that I wrote a blank check up to and including my life to defend it for 25 years in Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, and other parts of the world. So here's my thing to anybody who wants to come here. Don't ask for the American dream if you're not willing to debate American laws and embrace the American culture.
I love that. That is so good. We are a very generous country, but if you're breaking in the country and you're not coming on our terms, then we have the right to repel those people from coming into America.
No, you're absolutely right. And here's the thing, you have to assimilate. If you want to be an American, you got to be an American. And right now, we're allowing 13,000 convicted murderers and 16,000 convicted rapists to come into this country under the Biden watch.
And if you are better off today, it turns out you're probably an illegal alien. I'm using this line, play cut 197.
The biggest issues for Virginia voters we polled includes economy, followed by housing affordability, then threats to democracy and immigration.
The basic question is this: are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? If you say yes, you're probably an illegal alien. Okay, but honestly, at the end of the day, the people that got us into this mess, Tim Kaine has been in office for 30 years.
Tell us more, Hung.
Again, we have illegal aliens that come here. They've killed people like Jocelyn Nungary and Laken Riley, but also within Virginia, there's a grandmother named Melody Waldecker that was carjacked up in Sterling, Virginia, and she was run over and killed by an illegal alien. Down in Chesapeake, there's this young student, 19 years old, Lauren Nicole Leonard. She's a young African-American girl who was going to college and she wanted to be a forensic scientist, and she was killed by an illegal alien. You know, at what point do we say enough? Enough of killing our people, enough of, destroying our land, and, enough of coming over here and breaking our laws. I mean, we waited in line, and everybody should too.
One of the things you've been warning about is the march of Marxism in this country, something your family understands. When you see the persecution of President Trump and political dissidents, the lawfare, what is your warning to the American people of the type of country that we are becoming?
I mean, you see it in churches, right? They're attacking our churches and where we worship. I'm a Christian, and so, I go to Cornerstone Christian, I believe.
Great church, Gary Hemrick.
Yep, Gary's a very good friend of ours. But the attack on the church and also the attack on our civil rights, as well as, Kamala Harris wants to price control. She also wants to tax you on unrealized gains. That means if your house goes up in Zillow, you owe this amount of tax, even though you don't have it in your pocket. And then you've got Tim Walz, who wants to have the snitch line during COVID, where, you can snitch on your neighbors. And in Michigan, they have a snitch line for the kids to tell on their parents if they're not handling their guns safely. And again, this is what communists do. They turn the kids against you. And that's exactly what happened in Mao's China, where, the Cultural Revolution, where kids were turning their parents into the government.
That's right. And the Mao's little red guard turning in kids against their parents. Hung, please tell people how the audience can support you and your path to victory in Virginia these next 32 days.
Please go to hungforva.com. So that's HUNGFORVA.com. Look, you may not be able to vote for me if you're not in Virginia, but I can vote for you because my vote in the U.S. Senate will secure your liberties. I fought for you for 25 years. I've bled for you guys. I'm not done fighting for Virginia or for the United States of America.
What is Tim Kaine is very nervous. Democrats are maybe going to spend more money in the state. Just very quickly, what parts of the state are you focusing and emphasizing, and your closing message for voters?
Again, I ran for Congress in 2022 in Northern Virginia, which includes Loudoun County, where they were attacking the schools, were attacking the parents. And I moved that needle 13%. So I've been working hard on Northern Virginia, but then also in the southern part, in Richmond, we're pretty much tied with him in Richmond. In Hampton Roads, I spent 3 tours of duty there in Norfolk and Virginia Beach. So the Hampton Roads area, that's where 3 of my kids were born. So we know that area very well. And then Southwest, my in-laws lived in Roanoke for 25 years, and so we know that area very well too. So to tell you the truth, I'm concentrating all of Virginia because I want to represent all of Virginians.
Hung, thank you so much. It's hungforva.com. Thank you so much.